Now I'm just down the road 100 yards from my home, and we have Glastry Methodist Church here, and the scaffolding's up and they've a new slates going on the roof. And I thought, seeing this wee church often features as I'm bringing the sheep round the corner, we'll do a little bit of a story on it. So here we go. Now the roof has been leaking here on and off. The slates are always slipping off. Those big slates, the nails rot in them, and then the slide, and then the next one slides, and it's a lot of work. So the church was built in 1848, and this is the slates behind me that were on it, and I would say those are the original slates. Huge big slates. So they have it partly lathed there. It's very inclement weather and showers, so they just got it on well, the felt equivalent here, whatever it is, before the rain came. So that's the original slates. Those would be 2 foot wide and 3'6" long, some of them. Huge big slates. So here's our new slates. They're a lot narrower and smaller, but boy, they are a heavy grade. I was just looking at them there. They're very nice, natural slate. Bangor blue equivalent of what was on. This slate is going into the top right corner. It's a wee bit too wide, so we're taking a 3/4 of an inch off it. This is a slate cutter.
Cheers, Dave. Nice rat.
Now, the reason I was filming the wee Methodist church was twofold, because just they were fixing it, it was in my sheep and the shoestring videos, but also the fact that John Wesley, the founder of Methodism, travelled down to Kirkcudbright, to Portaferry and all round the district. But actually, some interesting things about John Wesley. He was born in 1703, died in 1791, so he lived 88 years. And he coined the phrase, agree to disagree. That was his phrase. He rode approximately, they reckon, about 250,000 miles. That's about 10 times round the earth on horseback. A travelling preacher. So his first visit to Ireland was in 1747, and it wasn't until 1756 that he came up this direction, up to Glastry. He actually spoke in Kirkcudbright village, as I've already said. So he had 21 trips to Ireland. So he was an amazing man in riding all those miles on horseback round little roads like this here. That's what I was wanting to feature in this thing. When I'm trimming the hedges here on these old back lanes, what we would call, these were actually the main roads in the 1700s and earlier than that, much earlier, away thousands of years. But the cart tracks were all leading to places, to other villages, to the coast for trade points and one thing and another. Anyway, the roads in the 1700s were virtually just tracks like this here. Now this is a good lane. The way they worked was they put toll roads and one thing and another. The governments tried to get it, and then like the big linen industrial people they made the roads up to transport their linen and stuff down to Dublin, and they paid for the upkeep of it, and they may have put a turnpike on it so that you had to pay. So that's the way they were done. Now, if you were going to make a road, this was how you would do it. You would have your spades and your shovels and your crowbars. If there was no lane here, imagine, you just measured out 12 feet. The back lanes like this were about 12 feet wide. The main roads would have been 18 foot wide. So you got your spade, dug in here, threw it into the middle of the lane, raised that up. Same on the other side, about a 12-foot strip. And then what you did was you got limestone and put a coating of that over the top of that, and that gave you a sort of a, and it was cambered. It was roughly 6-8 inches deep in the middle and 5 inches at the side, so you had a fall. So that's how it was made up. The limestone was crushed or broken to about the size, they say, of a turkey's egg, which would be not quite as big as your fist, about a duck egg sort of size too. So that's what it did, and then they threw a little bit of, that was the limestone bed, then they threw a little bit of soil over the top of that to coagulate it, and then over the top of that they had gravel, and you used whatever stones you could get. If you're down near the Mournes, you used granite, but was very hard to break up, or anything that was in a locality. If there was a quarry about here, that's what you used. Now, they said that in the late 1700s the Irish roads were in better condition than England, Scotland and Wales. Comparably, Sweden was the best and Ireland was up there with it. So the reason they reckon for that was that an ordinary horse cart in England, if you were drawing those big drays, they were weighing nearly 3 tons. And the iron wheels on them was making ruts in the roads, whereas the little Irish ones were much smaller, maybe 200, maybe about 300 weights all the while, and they were carrying a few half a ton or whatever, you know. So that's what was said about our roads in the 1700s. The little tracks that we're showing you here in the film. Isn't that right, girl? Now, John Wesley was travelling outside Kilkenny in 1750, And he wrote in his diary, I think this was the longest journey I have ever rode, being 50 Irish miles. That's about 90 English miles, because an Irish mile was 224 yards, 480 yards longer than what an English mile was. Now, just over the Church of Ireland at Ballyesborough, on the other side of the road, there is a site in a field. It's just a pile of soil now with a few stones among it, but it was called Barbara's Barn. Now, Barbara was married to Mr. John Hughes of Ballyesborough, but her maiden name was Stewart. She was reared at Quinton, Kearney direction, where the Stewart family farmed. During 1818, there was a circuit riding preacher, Mr. Langtry. He preached at Quinton. At one of his services, it says Barbara Stewart was converted. We are told her younger sister had recently died, and that made her anxious about her readiness for eternity. A very wise decision, affecting you from now right through eternity. When she got married, she and John regularly opened their home to travelling Methodist preachers, and later still they fitted up one of the barns adjacent to the house at Ballyesborough as a preaching place. Here's a little description of a service that was held in it. Barbara's Barn, as it is known, soon became noted for religious meetings and weekly class meetings held on Sunday mornings. A monthly service was held on Sunday evening for years before the Methodist Church was even opened at Glastry. On one occasion, Mr. Langtry described how the barn was so crowded that there was hardly room to breathe. So the service continued under the light of the moon. He preached in the barn at 6 o'clock to a crowd so great that he feared some would be smothered. After leaving the building, the night being clear, I went out and addressed them again, sung and prayed, and finally dismissed my most earnest and affectionate congregation. That's before Glastry Church was even built.
Jesus, friend unfailing, how dear art thou to me. Our cares or fears assailing, I find my strength in